Okay, we'll call this meeting of Coffee County Board of Education order, May 9th, 2017. This is a called special meeting. Have the agenda in front of you. Need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Mr. Miller?
Second.
Preston? Larry? Invocation, Dr. Banks.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to come together at this called meeting. Thank you, Father God, for the process that this meeting entails. I ask, Father God, in advance that you will guide our thoughts from near and afar. I pray, Father God, that you be with all applicants that are striving to fulfill the district-run roles and rules and policies of our Coffee County school system. I ask, Father God, that you guide us in this day in what we're trying to do as we select the candidate that has the best credentials, the best mindset for filling the vacancy of our deceased brother, Ronnie Johnson. I ask now, God, that we continue to do things in this community that will uplift our students and all stakeholders involved in the educational process. We ask you, Father God, in advance that you will be with us in this process. In Jesus' most precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, we announced our last meeting on April 27th. Our purpose today is to interview anyone from District 1 who timely indicated an interest in being considered to fill the unexpired term of Mr. Ronnie Johnson. I want to announce now that no decision will be made today, and also that a couple of applicants had conflict of being able to meet with the board today, and they will be interviewed during the board work session on May 11th. Please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I think the best process for us to follow would be to have all the candidates except the one being interviewed wait in the lobby. Since this is an open meeting, I know we cannot require this, but I definitely think this is how we should proceed. I also want to request that candidates do not discuss your interview with the other candidates. And for those of you who are not candidates, there will not be any audience participation today. If it pleases the board, I would like to suggest that we interview the candidates in the order scheduled on the agenda.
What are you okay with that? All right. Mr. Anthony, what do you want in that?
If Mr. Anthony's here.
He's here.
Yeah, sure. All right. Mr. Anthony, if you want to come up to the podium and address the board from the podium, and they've got a few questions they'll walk through with you. Yes, I think they're out there. Well, you need to leave that door open, Ms. Quinzer.
I just wanted to,
Open me.
no, just enough
All right,
that,
there you go.
just enough that I don't hear them
All
or
right,
him.
great. Thank you.
Superintendent, board members, I guess most of you have my resume, right? I seek this office because many citizens came to my house and asked me to consider putting my name in for the school position. My plan is to work in unity with the board, and if there is some differences, I hope that we can solve our problems in the back and we can get along as a family for the building of the school system. I want to work together to amplify assurance that our school and operation well and governed by the set policies and guidelines. And as you know, I have served on this board for 10 years. Ms. Gwona Lott passed, and they appointed me to the board, and I was elected 2 terms. My dream and my hope that we do all we can to better our young folks' education, working along with the teachers and staff. of the Crawford County School Board. And that's about all I got to say.
Well, we got some questions.
Okay.
Mr. Preston?
Yeah, Mr. Anthony, my first question, I think you answered, which was going to be if you knocked on my door and asked for my attention as to why you wanted to run. I think you've answered that. I appreciate it. But my next question is this: I know you mentioned that you had served on the school board previously, but can you give us some recent examples of your involvement with the school system or with the young folks of Crawford County?
Well, we had some, every now and then when we consolidated, we had some bumps. I mean, but I've learned down through the years to have tough skin. When we consolidated the schools, after a board meeting, surprisingly, my car was scratched, but that didn't bother me at all. I mean, I have tough skin, and I was called and threatened, but that didn't bother me at all, because I know sometimes when in position, it's not going to be easy. You know, I know you guys are aware of that as well. And in another incident, my wife's cousin broke the rules and regulation of the system, and we had to kick him out of school. And they were bitter with me a little bit on that, but I was just going by the policies, you know. And I think that's the main thing. If we go by the policies and rules and regulations, we won't have too much problems, you know. Do you want me?
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know you have served before, but just a better understanding of what you perceive the role as the Board of Education to do as our school board.
Well, first of all, I just believe that we're policymakers. I mean, we have guidelines to follow. I still got my thick book in the closet. And I'm sure some things have changed since some 20 years plus. But I feel that effective board is one that is positive. I mean, you know, regardless of who it might be, we have rules and regulations. And I'm aware that I don't supposed to go to a school campus unannounced. I know all about that. And just because I'm on the board, I don't go to the teaching them, and I'm your boss, man, and all that kind of crazy stuff. You know, I mean, I've learned a lot in the 10 years that I've served. And I just feel that it would be fair with everybody. That's all that matters.
Mr. Anthony, before I ask my question, that was one of the concerns I had, that I think people need to understand what this job entails. And I'm sitting there listening to you, you have been here, so you do know what it entails. How would you handle personal differences you might have with regards to a position or a priority that the board may take on a certain issue?
Well, I feel like this. It might come a time where you may not agree with me, vice versa. I may not agree with you, but we don't need to fall out because of our differences. I think that most of the time, on the board that I serve with Lise Leverett and Stan Rocket, Dick Worrells, and who else was on the board? Go back. Wiley Fletcher. We always would go back and we reason together. And when we came out as a family.
I guess what I'm saying, Mr. Anthony, is if the board votes on a particular issue and it's 3-2, 4-1, and a particular position that the board takes is this, but you didn't necessarily personally agree with it, how do you handle that situation? I guess I should clarify what I was asking a little bit.
I'll take it. this old saying says, shake it and take it. That's exactly what I would do, because I realize that majority rules in any situation.
That was my question.
But we won't fall out about it.
Okay. Every organization has room for improvement. What strengths do you feel you have that would help to improve the job done by this board?
Well, first of all, I need to find out what are your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Because I feel personally at this point that the board is moving smoothly right at this point, as far as I'm concerned, you know. And I'm not coming on this board with no vendetta against anybody. I mean, you know, I think if we just focus on doing what's right and keep on pushing to higher goals in life, I think our board would be very successful.
Dr. Lee, you have anything?
No, sir, I appreciate the board members' questions and appreciate your time and thank you for being here this evening, and I think that will do it, I guess, if that's the pleasure of the board.
All right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Thank
Thank you very
you.
much, appreciate it.
The next one is scheduled for 4:20, so we have a few.
She's in the lobby.
Good morning. Afternoon.
Don't take me back.
All right, and we appreciate you being here, and Mr. Jowers, our board chair, is
You have any statement you'd like to make to us before we ask you these questions?
Lifelong girl from Douglas, Georgia, born and raised here. Worked over 37 years in the school system. And I'm excited to be considered for this position.
The board has some questions, and when we ask you, Mr. Preston, I'll go first.
Yes, Ms. Johnson, thank you. If you met me at the door, you know, you're out campaigning and asked me for my vote, what would you tell me about, if I asked why you were running? If you could explain to me.
Okay, I'm running to make sure that there's unity with the board, that we are a team. And I'm running to help the kids and the staff of the Coffee County
Describe your current or recent involvement with the school system, PTOs or things like that.
After I retired in 2005, I have 2 grandchildren that I have raised. One is now 18. He was 7 months old when I got him. One is 8 years old. He was 9 days old when I got him. So I've been involved in school. The baby goes to Indian Creek. I'm involved there. I'm not really a board member of PTO, but I support the teachers and the staff there, as well as now my 18-year-old is in the high school. And the thing about him, he is autistic. So I work closely with the special services department. In fact, I was just on the phone with Junior Hughes before I came to get him set up and ready for graduation next year. But I substituted when I first retired. There was a teacher whose mother, I think, was sick and she couldn't open up the school term. So Dr. Mathis called me to carry on those 2 weeks. I also substituted up here at the Board of Education when they had a young lady who had strep throat for several days. But I'm forever talking with people in the school system, visiting, asking how things going. In fact, I came to Dr. Lee's because of a situation and I had gone to Dr. Stone, and I believe in following protocol. We, as a board member, we do not micromanage the school. The superintendent and administrators manage the school. But I believe that there's a problem. And I don't know all of the resources, but I know people who do know what to do. So that's where I am about being active in the school system. It does not have to be with my child's school at Indian Creek or the high school. I visited his school when he was the principal over there, Dr. Banks, because I want to be an integral part of the county school system.
Thank you.
Ms. Miller?
You just touched on it a little bit, but just a better understanding of what you perceive our role to be as the Board of Education.
Okay. The Board of Education's role is to hire and evaluate the superintendent, pass policies, pass the budget, hire staff that's recommended by the superintendent. The board's job is not to hire staff or to go outside the superintendent. I feel like that if he presents something to you and you don't like it, you need to agree. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to be a team, and we're going to walk. We can have differences and yet have love. I like loud colors. You like white. So we don't fall out because I like loud colors and you like whites. So we worked it out and come to a mutual agreement what would be better for everybody involved. That's where I am with that.
Mr. Martin?
Kind of touching on that, and I'm going to have to rephrase this question so it's clear, but how would you handle personal differences you might have with regards to a position the board may take on a certain issue? And I don't mean differences between, say, you and I, but if the board votes on something and it's not the position you had, but now it's the board's position, how would you handle situations like that?
Teamwork. We talk it out. I'm not going to like everything that you like. You're not going to like everything that I like. Conflict resolution. We got to sit down and talk about it. And then we got to work out what's best for not us, but the children.
And that's what I'm saying, when the board takes that position, and that
we got a 4 vote.
4-1 vote.
I got to tuck my tail in and accept.
That was my question. Because that does happen.
Yes.
I say that point issue, okay. Good deal. Mr. Giles.
Every organization has room for improvement. What strengths do you feel you have that would help to improve the job done by this board?
I've worked in the system so long, and I know so many people. And I think my greatest strength would be the relationship that I've had with the community, the school community, the professional community, the church community, the community as a whole. My strength would be one of those that when we have a difference that has not been approved, I can go in. In fact, I was just thinking, I wish I could have used references, because I've had people down through the years that tell me, if it had not been for you in here talking to us, as you know, I'm a great talker. So I feel like that my strength, where you have, all of us have strengths. My strength, I'm a people person. And I can a lot of time talk people down. We still have racial issues. I can talk people down. We are one people, although we are different colors. We have different likes, but there's a point where we can come together and be the same, because we're in it for our children. Have you heard tell of marriages staying together because of children? This is what this board is. We got to stay married and work things out for the better because of the children that are involved.
Okay.
I'd like to thank you for being here, and the board had questions to ask, and so they've asked the questions, and just want to thank you for being here. I appreciate you taking your time to be here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good evening.
Board ready to hear? All right. Welcome, Ms. Wilkerson. If you want to come to the podium.
Okay. Good evening. Everybody's good today?
How about you?
I'm good.
You have a statement for us? We have questions for you. You have something for us before we ask questions.
Okay. Good evening. I am Tanya Wilkerson. I'm the wife of Adrian Wilkerson, the mother of A.J. Wilkerson, Kevin and Kelsey Harris. I am a member of Life Changers Ministry, where my pastor is Richard Bennett Jr. I graduated from Coffee High in 1984 and cosmetology school in 1993. I seek to be selected as a member of this board to serve the children and the employees of this community of Coffee County. The late Ronnie Johnson and I, we share a vital ingredient, and that is the love for the children in Coffee County. I am a product from a very supportive parental system. Therefore, I have inherited the love, the passion to spend quality time with our children from not only my parents, Diane and Bobby Paul, but a pioneer of this community, my grandmother, the late Clara Allen, and my godmother, Louise Baker. A few other things about myself. I have been employed as a cosmetologist for 31 years. I have coached Parks and Recreation for 25 years, along with CIA Community in Action. I have coached AAU basketball. For over 8 years, we have traveled through Georgia, Florida, and Alabama with 2 boys' basketball teams in hopes of my boys accomplishing a basketball scholarship. I am a former 2-sport Coffee High Trojan athlete. I am a community mom. Not only do I take the children to and from practices and games, but also to the library and study halls. I make sure that my children understand the difference in student athlete by educating them about the importance of education before the love of the sport. I am informing you, the members of this board, of my coaching experience, so you can know that I know the children in our system, most of them. I coach our children. I already stand for our children. The children respect me. I know the children's parents, and I can communicate with the parents. The most valuable asset that I can bring to the Board of Education is experience in being a community cheerleader for our children in Coffee County. I offer my time. Times mean teaching our children right from wrong, improving our education system, motivating our coaches, children, teachers, and the community leaders to support our school system. I offer the citizen of Coffee County my time as teaching, improving, motivating, and education. I thank you for your time. I ask that you consider me, Tanya Wilkerson, for the next District 1 Coffee County Board member. I look forward to working with each of you for the betterment of our children and employees of this county. I thank you for a destination, for graduation, for college, career, and life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkerson.
Anybody have any questions now?
I was going to say, did she get this beforehand? Did she get this beforehand? We do have some questions, and you may feel like you've already answered them, but just in the fairness of the situation, we want to go through the process. And
yes.
I feel like you've been a coach, so you feel like the process is important sometimes as the result. So we're doing the same thing here in honor of the position at stake. So if you met me at the door and asked for my vote, what could you do to answer if I ask you why are you running and what makes you feel like you're the best candidate?
Okay. Well, I will tell you that I feel like I'm the best candidate because I love the children. And I feel like it's so important to be in this position to support our kids, where they can have the better education, where we can, guide them with the better education. And I have a passion for sports. So I'm just honest and tell you that I love sports, and I love for the children to stay involved in sports. And a lot of kids stay involved in sports stay involved in school because of the sports. So, and a lot of them, they do well in school because they know in order for them to play sports, they got to do their education. They got to get their education.
Just to follow up on that as well, thank you for that. Please describe your current or prior involvement in our school system. I know you may have covered some of that in your opening statement with your activities, but if you could maybe go into more detail without naming names of the specifics, but if you maybe could offer up some examples. It'd be great.
Well, I am a motivated mom at the Coffee Middle School. My son is a basketball player there. So I'm a motivated mom there. And anybody that goes to the basketball games, football games, whatever, they already know me. And you probably already do. Like I said, I am the biggest cheerleader for Coffee County because of the children, not only my children, but because the love that I have for the children. I have 2 older children. My oldest one is 31. And I followed him every game, almost every practice, and God blessed me with a job to where I could do that. So it's just like that. It's the same thing with my son. He's in the 8th grade. He's 14 years old, and I do the same thing there. Adam, he knows me. He's at baseball field. Our boys play baseball together. So anytime they got a game, I will be there if God says so. I'm headed there now when I leave from here, because we got a baseball game at 5:30. So, I just love to support the kids.
Okay, I got one said, now let's speed this up.
Oh.
Thank you, Ms. Wilkerson. That's all. That's all I have. So then you've got some other.
What is your understanding, perception of what our role is as the Board of Education?
Well, that's something I don't know all of, and but I do understand that, y'all are here to make sure the education is well for the kids, to make sure the employees are treated fairly, and to bring in the best employees to educate our children, and make sure that our children has a quality education. So this is something I don't know all of, but it is something that I will be able to learn as I go. I'm not hard to catch on at all. So it is something that I will be able to come in. And like I said, you can't learn, God, He didn't build the world in a day, so it's just, I won't be able to know everything within a day. But if you give me time and where I can join this board, I will be able to learn what y'all need me to learn. Thank you.
Mr. Long.
My question is, and I want to clarify because I think I'm confusing people on how I'm asking it, but the question is, how would you handle personal differences you might have with regards to a position the board may take on a certain issue? And what I mean by that is if we vote to take a position on something and it passes, but that was not your position, how do you handle that situation?
Well, just like I handle situations in my home, because everything is not like I want it to be there. Sometimes my husband might want to do things that I don't want to do. But I can't jump up and leave my husband, leave my family because he want to do something that I don't agree of. So I just have to take it like it is. It's all in the majority wins. So that's how we have to take it. Just the majority has won, and I didn't get what I wanted, but I can pray the next time and hope that something else will go my way, just like I do at the house.
Every organization has room for improvement. What strengths do you feel you have that would help improve the job done by this board?
Well, it's one thing that I do feel that Coffee High needs an improvement with, and that's because I love sports. And the children, I feel like, need tutoring sessions. And, to make sure that these kids are eligible to play. Some of our kids fall astray because they wasn't able to pass and had to be ineligible and not able to play ball. So that runs them to the streets. And that's one thing I do hate. I hate to see our kids in the streets.
Okay. Police?
Yes, sir. The board members have gone through their questions. They had their questions prepared and ready. And at this point, this pretty much concludes our session. And appreciate you being here, and thank you for coming out and investing your time in this.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for having me.
Appreciate it.
God bless you.
Yeah, this was on the agenda. Yeah, it's on this time of the agenda.
Everyone's going to take a short break.
Everyone's come very well.
Yeah, I think that's the time to take care of Casey ran along. Mr. Chairman, do you want to take a recess?
We're going to take a short recess for about 10 minutes. Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Before we get started, the board will have some questions for you when you get through.
Okay.
When you finish,
All right.
go ahead.
My name is Patricia Eight, and I'm a retired teacher of 33 years. all 30 years was spent here in Coffee County. I was born and raised right here in District 1. I understand the norms and the background. I know that this area that I'm in, District 1, because I was raised in District 1. And I'm a little nervous because I'm not used to speaking in front of people, so kind of bear with me a little bit. Because District 1 is my home, it has been my home all of my life, the people know me and I'm very well respected in the community. I have had the advantage of working with the school system in many different ways as an educator. I have taught so many students. Some of the students I've taught are grown and they have children of their own, for which some of those children I have also taught. I have a master's degree in educational leadership. I have a 6-year, it's a 6-year in curriculum and instruction. I am gifted endorsed and I am also reading endorsed. I say all of this because it has put me in a position to understand how schools operate as a whole. I am not only a retired teacher, I am a parent and a grandparent. I have a daughter who went through the Coffee County school system. She graduated and she came back and is now a teacher. I also have grandkids that are in the Coffee County school system. It's my years in the Coffee County school system that's made me feel that I'm more than qualified to serve as a representative for District 1 on the Coffee County Board of Education. It's also my years of experience that will guide me in decision making. I feel like as a teacher, I know I can answer questions from a teacher's point of view, and I can also answer questions from a student point of view because I'm able to get down and to their level of thinking. All of my adult life has been spent working with children, working with educators, working with administrators, working with the community, parents at some point in time. Every parent wants their child to have a very good education, regardless of their ability, the parent's ability. They may not have finished school, but they want more for their child, just as I want more for mine. Even though I'm retired, I still have the best interest of any child attending the Coffee County school system. This is the next progression in my journey as an advocate for children. I learned this years ago when I first started teaching. I believe that all children can learn. All children can learn. You know, they may not learn as fast as some students, but they have their own rate of learning. And I'm a firm believer of that, and I will always, that's like my motto, all children can learn. And when looking through the strategic plan, and there were several core values that were listed, the one that jumped out at me was the one I just mentioned, all children can learn. As I understand my role and the school board role is to ensure that all children have access to quality education regardless of their religion, socioeconomic level, their race, and regardless of their family names. All children should be allowed to have a quality education. Despite there will never be another Ronnie Johnson, you all knew Ronnie and you all know how he felt. You all agree with him that children were most important and they always came first where he was concerned. I have known Ronnie all of my life. We grew up in pretty much the same neighborhood. He grew up on Pearl Street and I grew up on Coffee Street, just around the corner. And I had several conversations with him. Several that when I had a problem, I would go to him and he would do his best to answer. He would help me as best he could. But we had several conversations. And Ronnie and I shared the same philosophy about children. It's about putting children first. One thing I do know, and that's as long as I put children first, I know that I am the right person for the job, and I'm laughing a little bit at that. But I feel that I am. Even though I'm a little nervous right now, and I didn't say everything, I sat home and I wrote this. At 4 o'clock, I was sitting down and I was writing because I said, I may get real nervous and there'll be some things I want to say and I might not be able to say them, so I wrote my little thing. I didn't read everything that was on and I kind of looked down a little bit, but, but that's it. Thank you.
Got some questions.
We do have some questions, and you may feel like you've already answered them in what you just shared with us there, but we're going to ask them for the good of the group.
Okay.
If you met me at the door, campaign, not knocking on doors, and how would you answer if I ask you, why are you running, and what do you feel like makes you the best candidate for the role?
I would say I was running because of my years of experience as a teacher. I'm able to, I've dealt with different principals, I've dealt with different parents, I've dealt with different children, I've dealt with different families in the community. And I feel like that in itself is a plus for me.
Another question, and you may have touched on some of this with your statement, but if you could give us some current or prior involvement in the school system, maybe talk about, in this case, since you have shared with us about your teaching experience, experiences as a layperson, as a member of the community, something like that, maybe.
Church-wise?
Whatever you feel is important as regards to your involvement with the school system. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, well, I still sub. I do a lot of substituting, and anytime I'm called on to do something, I'm there to do it. And that's basically all I can say right now. Is that I've never really fully left the school system. I'm still a substitute. I know they call me. If I answer the phone each time it rang, I would be going every day.
Okay.
But
all right, thank you.
Ms. Milton?
What do you perceive our role as the Board of Education to be?
I perceive your role as Board of Education to be there for basically for the teachers if they need you, for the parents if they need you, and who's going to speak for their child. Also, I think you're there to make sure that children are getting the best education possible, that teachers are provided with whatever they need to make that happen for each child.
Okay. Mr. Locke?
Ms. Yates, I'm going to ask my question and clarify it because I realize after we started today it's not real clear. How would you handle personal differences you might have with regards to a position the board may take on a certain issue? And what I mean is not personal differences between, say, you and I, but if the board votes on a certain issue a certain way and that was not you have a difference with that, how would you go forward with that? How would you handle that situation?
I would just take off on my own with it. I would come to you all and see if we can come to a meeting of the minds. That's what I would do.
Okay. Thank you.
One more. Every organization has room for improvement. What strengths do you feel you have that would help improve the job that's done by this board?
Well, I don't know if any of you are teachers or have been a teacher, but I've been, like I said before, I've been a teacher, and I've been a parent, and I feel like I can speak from a parent's point of view, I can speak from a teacher's point of view, and in some way, like I said, I can get down to a kid's level. I can speak on the kids level.
Okay. Thank you, Douglas.
All right, Ms. Yates, the board members had their questions prepared and they've asked their questions, and this time this concludes the session this evening. And we appreciate you coming out tonight, and we appreciate you investing your time in this process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
She gotta get it.
Johnny Wilkerson.
Okay? Yeah, we're ready.
Slow. Sorry. I'm gonna run the 10-3 like I used to. But I want to thank the board for giving us the opportunity to come in and address you and let you know why we're interested in this position. And I kind of feel like my father being, and I'll get to my point, I introduce myself, but I kind of feel like I've been connected with this school system all my life. Raised on a teacher's salary. My father was 33 years in the school system. My mother was a homemaker, so I kind of feel that I've been a part of, actually the school system helped raise me and fed me. But again, I guess I'm not used to being on the front. I heard the young lady say I'm not used to being in front of and making these addresses, but I will say this here. I was raised, again, in Coffee County. We was at Carver School to about third grade. And at the fourth grade, my father entered us in Central Elementary School back in 1964, 65. And then I didn't know I was making a little history. At that time, I would understand we were the first African-American children to integrate the school before mandatory. Didn't know that at the time. Then we moved on through Coffee High School, graduated in 1974. Finished and decided I was going to go to, didn't know really what I would do. I thought I wanted to be a welder. So I went to Ben Hill Irving Tech. At the time, it was Ben Hill Irving Tech. And I don't know, Mr. Giles, you might know people like Roosevelt Porter. These were young men in our church, and they encouraged me, and I thought they was making pretty good money, driving big cars, buying houses, so I thought maybe, hey, that's the way to go. So I thought I wanted to be a welder. Well, after completing that welding certificate, I moved to Savannah. Well, see, at the time, being a welder, I thought I was going to go to work in the Alaskan pipeline at the time. Well, then I moved to Savannah. At 5 years in Savannah, I learned a little bit about my craft, what I do now, come back, and got married. My intentions were not to get married at the time, but I married a beautiful young lady in Hazlehurst, Georgia, Gloria Wilkerson, my wife, and she's a great wife. Now, whether or not I'm a great husband, she'll have to decide that. But when I come back, got married, decided I'm going to give Douglas a shot, because after all, a lot of kids you leave town because there was not very many jobs. So I come back, and we got married in 1984. Results of that wedding, that union was two beautiful kids. Got a son, Terrence, and a daughter, Brandy. And the result of that, have 4 great grandchildren, which is in the Coffee County school system now. But then I started my business, video production business, as well as substitute teaching. I was on the substitute teaching list for 10 years, and started that, and of course most of you know that I was being a substitute teacher. The good thing about that, and what I loved about being a substitute teacher, was after we did what the teacher wanted us to do, did the assignments, I got a chance to talk with students. And because of the nature of my business, there was a lot of conversation started in classes. So we got a chance to talk about life, and I really enjoyed that because it brought me closer to the kids. And of course, during that time, some of you know that I was a videographer, shoot football games. And we had a little show Matter of fact, Dr. Leeson, I got some videotape on him, and I won't use it as any kind of. When he was in high school, we had a little show called Children's Rewind, so I got a chance to work with the students. Let the students interview, so it was just a lot of fun at that time. But results of that, I got a chance to see the kids that really want to learn, and because it was coming from a different angle, we couldn't actually teach them anything, but just sit down talking about life. Life is about that. You look at a dreamer. When I was in high school, I was a dreamer, which is not a bad thing. People that were successful motivated me, and it caused me to dream about maybe once when I got out of high school. So there was a lesson there that I really enjoyed that, and but again, thinking that that's my calling. I've done what I'm supposed to do. My calling is in my production. We got started doing television, bringing stuff to people's front room, living rooms, letting the people see how their elected officials vote. And I just thought that was it. And now at 60 years old, of course I did during that time, I did serve on some boards. I was president of the NAACP for 2 years. I also served on the Douglas Housing Authority. I just want to write this down. So I was also on the, and I think Kim is here, I don't know if she's here or not, but I served on the, I don't know if we had a name for it. I know Howard Ray led that charge of minority recruiting, teachers recruiting committee. Right now I serve on the DDA board. Served on different boards and committees and around Crawford County, thinking that, well, I put my shoulder to the wheel. But I'll tell you this here, and I know I'm going to get right to the point, I know we don't have long, but why I put my name down for the Board of Education. And it's because there was a young lady, young girl, 8 years old, third grader. She was a great student up in, believe it or not, 700-800 miles away. Had nothing to do with here in Crawford County. And I've had some sad stories before. I've read sad stories with dealing with young people, but this particular story stuck with me for 6 months. Because you know, sometimes you read sad stories, in 2 days you kind of move on. But my wife told me, she said, you know something, and I felt the same thing. Maybe you haven't done all you can do for children. You know, what's that got to do with Crawford County? Well, I got to thinking. I went and talked to Miss Artist, Judy Artist at the Boys and Girls Club. How can I be involved? Because that story, I won't talk about what this little girl get through, but this girl was dependent on her grandmother that's supposed to love her, protect her, and her mother just brutally murdered her, and it was a slow death, and that bothered me. Matter of fact, I grieved as if it was my own. So it really touched me, and I said, well, look, well, locally, do we have kids in that? I'm just telling you, that's what made me put my name on all the other experience I've had in Crawford County dealing with young people. But that story touched me, and I just had to do something. I'm going to serve somewhere. I'm going to volunteer to serve somewhere, because that girl's name and that picture, she will never die in my mind. Well, what about Crawford County? Do we have people that's kids that are going through stuff like that? I don't know. But I did talk to Miss Artist, and you know, there have been a couple of cases, maybe not quite as bad. So I'm concerned about children. I always been, I just explained to you, been around children. Like I said, filming, going to football camp with the football team, and just having fun with the guys, and that's basically all my life, basically, when I went to think about it. But I was on the website today looking at, I tuned in the Georgia Accredited Commission, and I looked at Crawford County, and it made me proud. We have an AWQ on all our schools, and I'm proud of that. Because remember, just a few years ago, we was on probation. We got put on probation, and we can't let that happen again. I want to be a part of continuing. Apparently, schools are already doing a good job. let the superintendent do his job, and because we know why we'll be there. You know why you were there, to do your part of this job, and let the superintendent do his. I was at a meeting last week, and I heard a lot of talk about my brother Ronnie Johnson, classmate of mine. Well, and I heard talk about it's going to take somebody great to fill my brother's shoes. Well, folks, I can't do that. I can't. I'm just not. To fill somebody's shoes, that means I have to change my personality. Me and my brother had debates. We both wanted the same thing, and that same thing was about children. Me and Ronnie have had plenty of debates. He go about one method, I may go about another. But I love him. But we both want the same thing. That's what we always conclude when we talk and have serious debate. But we never would let those debates, cause separation between us, because we want the same thing. It's all about the children. And if I'm selected, that's what you'll hear me say. I will quote my brother. It's all about the children. And everybody know that quote. But again, I just, I have a lot down here, but I don't want to, I know we got just so much time. I figure you probably got some questions you want to ask, and forgive. I'm just, this is a different move for me, because I'm used to sitting in committees, not facing people, that kind of thing. But it's all right. We'll be all right with that. But that's basically my presentation. It's all about the children.
Mr. Wilkerson, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for presenting yourself for this. I do have a couple of questions. We all kind of taken a couple of questions, and you may feel like you've answered these already, but please just think about them and answer freely as well. If you met me at the door and asked for my vote, if you're out, knocking on those doors, and I ask you, why are you running and what makes you the best candidate, if you could.
Well, that is what made me the best candidate is well, and that's always been my problem. That's why I never run for anything, because I felt but I'm in that position now, maybe, hopefully. Well, my love for the kids, I think my experience and the story, I would have to share this story if I had a chance to share the story that I just did, because that's what motivated me to jump in this thing. It's just my experience and like I say, just look at our accreditation. Just want to make sure we be a part. We already have a great school system. We have come up, and like I said, you don't get these. I looked at some of these schools had just ACC next to them, just accredited. We have accredited with quality, and so that says something to me. And I just want to be a part. I just want to be a part of continuing to put my shoulder to the wheel to make sure our kids don't have to choose between getting a wrench like that gets thrown in the wheel and it upsets their plans for college. I want to make sure that don't happen again.
Amen. That's what I'm doing. So you roll along for that ride from the other side, through the lens.
Yeah.
So, another question for me is, and you've shared a good deal with this, but again, just want to ask you if you could describe your current or prior involvement with the school system, either as a parent, a guardian, a school council, PTO, just anything.
Well, right now, actually, I once was substitute teacher on that list for 10 years. Right now, well, as of this past year, I did make the only connection I had with the school wasn't through football, because I'd gotten busy with a lot of other things. But to answer that question is, I just right now I don't have any connections. Just concerned, just knowing the history of what have happened here, the things we've done, and the accomplishments we've done here in the school system. Like I said, me being connected through the media. I was here once upon a time at all the meetings. I still get a chance to share it. Dr. Menda, he always give us, so we always put that together on programming. But that's my connections. I've always been interested in keeping up with what's happening in the school system, because again, I have grandchildren in the school system. And I have a 14-year-old now that's approaching high school, so I'm very concerned about,
Thank you.
I hope that answers you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
What do you understand and perceive the role of the school board to be?
See the role?
The role.
The role, probably educating our children in any way, academically or all the extracurricular activities. And our role is mainly that, educate the children. Like I said, I've been around, and I know sometimes we have special interest groups come through. But the bottom line and the role, to answer your question, is being a part of educating our children and putting the best, things are changing, as things are going to change 10 years from now. Technology might be a little different. And I want to be a part of that and give them the advantage, our children the advantage of advancing, in this world. Mr. Rob?
Mr. Wilson, how would you handle personal differences that you might have with regards to a position that the board as a whole may take on a certain issue? If we vote to take a certain position, but that's not your personal, how would you handle situations like that?
Well, again, being with my experience in serving on boards and committees, you got a Robert's Rules of Order. I know that. And I will be an example. I tell my children, sometimes things not going to go your way, and you might be, if you're with the group and there's a vote, you might not get it to go your way that you like all the time. But you're bored, and you've got to just maybe the next time look different. You may go your way, but you can't just. I'll tell you about, you just can't get mad and walk away and take my ball and go home. And, you still got to jump and stay in the game. And one of the things, and I think that's why we all are here. But this is about children. This is not like the city where we're trying to decide who gets the grant for this sewer pipe or this. There's so many different, areas you can. But this is only about educating our kids. So we are, whoever is voting, however the vote go, it should be about the best interest of our kids. And that's what that's what you have to keep in mind. You've got to, I wouldn't say be a diplomat, but and maybe that's what I'm saying. You got to be able to give and take some. But I think if our goal is to educate our children, there can't be any wrong votes. If that's the motive. Now, if special interest, someone come in and hope we don't. Problems going to have. I mean, I've been around long. That problems going to come, but I want to be a part of solving those problems. And I'm a person that I just, I guess everybody's right in their own way. A lot of times when I'm right, I've been accused of maybe not necessarily having that diplomatic. But you learn as you go. This is a system where we can't. Like I say, the best interest of the kids is that we all here for the same thing, and keep that in mind. And I think if we here for the kids, I think it'll be all right. I think the kids will be okay, because you're not going to vote here for anything that's going to hurt or that's not good for our children. To me, I'm not sure to say this, but my experience with the board, I want to say this is probably the easiest board to be on, because if we keep in mind we're here for the children and keep that in our mind and keep that in our, as a part of our board. I just firmly believe that, what's best, what will the best come out of that would be we got better kids and they're more educated, and this is best for the whole system.
Every organization has room for improvement. What strengths do you feel you have that will help to improve the job done by this board?
Well, as I said, we have this school system is doing a good job already. I mean, just looking at our ratings here, we're doing a good job. But what I can bring to it, and what I'm trying to look for, is this story that I was telling you about. Is there certain angles that you can come from to make it better? If there's a child out there and I appreciate what we're doing, our connection with the Boys and Girls Club too, because I think that, you know, if there's a child out there that really need help, keeping our eyes open, any ways that we can learn or figure out that we can help our children. I know we got them at a certain time in a certain number of hours, but is there a way we can figure out that, and keep our eyes open? Because, excuse me, that system up there failed that child. The one I was telling you about, that system failed. Somehow she slipped through the system, shouldn't have been there with her grandmother. But any way that we can, and I'm sure there's ways I don't know yet. Yeah, you know, I got to get in this thing and learn. I don't have an experience with the board. Only thing I got, you know, I was a substitute teacher that's been around the kids. I'm sure there's a lot of learning that, and I'm willing to do that. I wanted to go off and learn.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Wilkerson, thank you for your time. The board members had their questions prepared and they've asked their questions, and we just appreciate you coming forward and investing your time and being here tonight to represent and to seek this out. So thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what stayed here.
You don't have to leave, but we'd like for you to.
Okay.
Come on up to the podium. The board has some questions for you.
Okay.
But before we do that, we're going to let you say what you got to say. I'm sure you got a statement prepared.
Well, a little bit. I didn't understand what the presentation meant, of course, and I asked before I accepted the time to be here. Just to let you know a little bit about myself. My name is Paulette Brown. I've been in the community all of my life. My personal life is that I'm married to Richard Brown, who works for the middle school here. And he's also part of the basketball team as one of the assistants. Together we have 6 children. We have 12 grandchildren and 1 great-grand and 2 on the way. My education is that I attended Coffee High. I had to get my GED because my mother being so ill, but I was determined. I wanted to get that before my class graduated, which was in 1990, and my class accepted me as I got my GED the same time that they graduated. So that was an honor for me. I continued on and I attended Wiregrass Georgia Technical College. There where I received 2 Associates of Applied Science in business as well as accounting. I continued on to go to Albany State where I got my bachelor's in 2015. Currently, I am in the master's program for business administration at Kennesaw State University, and I will graduate from there next spring. I have been employed with Wiregrass Georgia Technical College for about 6 years now. I started out as a tutor, and I continued there for about 5.5, 6 years until I graduated. And then they came up with a position called advisement and retention, and that is what I currently do now. I've been doing that for about 1.5 years. In advisement and retention, I get an opportunity to meet a variety of different students from the community and adults who are wanting to further their education. And I, in turn, will provide them guidance on the best way that they should go and what program they should be a part of. Me personally, I'm involved a great deal in my church. I sang with the Douglas Mass Choir for over 20 years. I helped start the Motivated Moms for the football team as well as the basketball team here. And that was a great pleasure because actually I visited it Back in November, one of their meetings, and it was just such a joy the way that it's grown, because it started out with so few of us and it has grown so well. I just would like to do this as my presentation. I would like to be a part of this for several reasons. One of the reasons is that I think great schools do great for our businesses. It helps to grow our communities. As schools are great, then when people move into our districts, they get a chance to see that if the schools are great, then our communities are growing and being better. I also would like to ensure that our students are ready for graduation, would help be a part of ensuring that our students are ready for graduation. Whatever it takes from elementary on up, I would like to learn more that I could be of assistance to help our communities and our school districts get even better than what they already are, because it's already a great school system. I've had 2 children to go through it, and I loved every part of it. I never had any issues with it. My vision is to help the students to make sure they can achieve their most highest academic goals that are possible for them. I want our schools to be ranked the highest. We're already high, but I would love to see us even go higher than that. And whatever it takes for us to get there, I would love to be a part of that. My desire is also to learn the big picture, the operation of how the board works, how we generate funds, how things are done to make our schools better in this community, how we are able to and be a part of giving my input of things that I think could help make our schools even better. I also would like to be a part of the concerns that our community has. They have some concerns about things that are happening in our school systems, and I also would love to be a part of those that, the ones that are finding solutions to help make those concerns be better for our citizens of our community. My goal is to do what's right, would be to do what's right for our community. Most of all, like I said before, our schools are already better, but I would just love to be a part to see if I can attribute anything to help make our schools even better than what they are. And that's all for my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Brown, for being here. I've got a couple questions, and that you may feel like you kind of covered them in your presentation, but let me go through them just the same. If you met me at the door and asked for my vote, if you're out knocking on those doors and campaigning, and I ask you, why are you running, and what do you feel makes you the best candidate? Could you share that with me?
Yes, I would say to you, the reason I feel like I could be the best candidate is because I want to be a part of helping make sure your student gets the best education that is possible for this community. I want them to be able to, when they're going to our schools, they achieve the highest accomplishment possible so that they can be the best student they possibly can be. I would love to see all our students on honor roll. I would love to see all our children as honor grads. It's increasing more and more as the years progress, and that's a great thing, and I would love to be a part of helping it even grow even more.
Thank you. Could you describe your current or prior involvement in our school system? I know you shared some things about being a parent or guardian, but just expound on that if you could.
Okay, as being a parent, I was really involved, especially having 2 children back to back. I was the type of parent that I never wanted my children to just go to school and not know their teachers not know who I was. I wanted to be involved. I made it my business to make sure I introduced myself on a yearly basis to these instructors. I wanted to make sure that they had my numbers, and if they had any problems, don't wait to contact me immediately, because I felt like as a parent, I can ward it off before it becomes a trouble issue. In that, I would make myself, and not only, I see so much in our community where sometimes once our children hit middle school and high school, yes, they begin to get a little bit more independent, but I would love to see our parents be more involved, just as they were in their elementary. When you go to an elementary awards program, it's jam-packed. Whenever you go to graduation, yes, jam-packed, but what about in between those years? What about when they're in the 9th grade, 10th grade, 8th grade, 7th grade? Are you just as involved as you were when they were in kindergarten and 1st grade? I feel like for me, I wanted to be involved, and that's why I put my name out in the community. I would meet the principals. I wanted them to know I was there. I volunteered. I was always there. With the football team, for example, I wanted to know what was causing our students not to be able to go to the colleges that they dreamed of going to. What was making these young guys when they get ready to take these tests, they were not prepared. So in my mind, I was trying to strategize and help my son along with his friends achieve these goals. It was still a difficult task because we started a little bit late. But as I studied and learned about the NCAA qualifications and other qualifications that are required for them to move on, I feel like now I can assist in helping these students to be ready when they leave the middle school. Let them know how important it is for them to get their education, to do their work, so that we can push them on to go to the next level.
Thank you.
What do you perceive our role to be at the Board of Education?
I perceive that this role here at the Board of Education is to assist our community to grow, to use the monies and the funds that are generated for our school system to create new ideas that will help better our school, such as the telemedicine procedure that is being done now. I think that's a great thing. The buildings that are being built, everything that's involved in the Board of Education, I think it's the decision making to make sure that our schools are ran properly and they have all the funds that are needed to get the job done on a day-to-day basis.
Ms. Brown, how would you handle personal differences you might have with regards to a position the board may take on a certain issue? And what I mean is, if we vote to take a certain position, but it's not a unanimous vote and you're on the 4-1-3-2 of it, how do you handle that situation?
I would handle it in the way that I would make sure that I have understood all of the protocol behind the decision that needs to be made. I would like to make sure that I am fair, I'm ethical, and I make the decision that's going to be best for the community as well as the students. The students are the #1 priority, but I'm not a controversial person at all anyway, but if I had to revisit, I would just make that known and just say, let me revisit, let's look at some things to see what's the best decision that I want to be involved in making for the decision that needs to be made.
Okay. Every organization has room for improvement. What strengths do you feel you have that will help improve the job done by this board?
Well, strengths that I have, I am, as I mentioned earlier, I'm very ethical, I'm very dependable, and I'm very accountable. I feel like that if you keep your ethics and your morals up high and you set standards for your life, that could make you be a better person in every area of life that you decide to go in. Being dependable, I'm always there. If I give you my word, I feel like that's my bond, and I want to do what I say I'm going to do. In accountability, if I'm not going to be able to do something, or if I'm not going to be able to fulfill a duty or task that I said I was going to do, I would like to make it known and say. And if I don't know something, that's a part of my accountability as well. That's where I would ask and get better learning and better understanding. And most of all, I would love to know that, that I'm a quick learner, so therefore that's why I would ask, and so I could study out and figure out what's the best way to get things done.
Okay.
Ms. Brown, I want to just thank you for coming out tonight. The board members had their questions prepared and they've asked their questions. This concludes the session. I just want to thank you for being here and committing your time to seek out this position. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Pleasure meeting you.
Mr. Chair, I will announce again that no decision will be made here today. And also, there were a couple of people who had conflicts with being able to meet the board today, and they will be interviewed during the board's work session on May 11th. And this concludes our work session for interviewing candidates for the board.
You don't need any executive session?
I don't need
Everybody good?
executive session.
All right. Meeting is adjourned.